And oh, I did make a phone call to the library about Earth Day and Arbor Day.
Okay.
And I
Oh,
spoke with Dory in West
yeah.
Hartford.
She's the real good person at Fowler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she told me, and I forget the day, I'll send it out, but sent me a we talked about providing them plants, and one thing I thought of, I've got some plants I can divide. And I was going to go out actually today, and I didn't, but I will maybe tomorrow, and cut a bunch of willow, which I've got a ton of, and get it started making willow water out of the stems and also starting little willow plants.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Mark, I was just watching a video online about doing that with red dogwood,
Yes.
which I have a red dogwood that is I planted it way too close to my back door and it's taking over. So I need to cut it back, but I think I can do the same thing with the stems. You put them in water.
Is it the red dogwood called red twig?
The red twig, yeah, the stems are
Oh,
red.
that's a beautiful plant. And
Oh,
I
gorgeous.
want to
actually,
be in line for a couple.
Oh, I'll grow some.
yeah, and they love being, my wife knows a little bit about them. She said the best thing to do with them is to cut them way back because it's the new twigs that give you that wonderful red color in the fall and winter.
Yeah.
They're
It's
so
And
pretty.
and if you want to move that red twig, I mean, if cutting it back isn't enough to make it fit the space you've got
I
for it,
might have to move it.
but well, this is the perfect time to do that. Just
Oh,
dig it,
really?
yeah, cut it way back. Take a shovel, dig the thing out of the ground as best you can.
Yeah.
Of course, have a new hole ready for it and all that good stuff. And then, even if you just move it 3 or 4 feet, that might be enough to do the job.
Well, I didn't. So our house was built in 1906, and definitely they used to have a coal burning
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
stove, and they
I know.
definitely would burn all their trash and throw it out the back door.
Yep.
Because if you dig down, 6 inches, it's just, ash and old bits of metal and glass. So
Yep.
I got this red dogwood and I was like, you know what? We'll see. I just want something growing by the back door. It's
Sure.
grown shockingly well on
Yes.
Wow.
the worst soil. It's not even soil it's growing on.
They, they're amazing. We have some red twig dogwood at the ball field where our community garden is.
Mhm.
And there were just a couple of little plants, and this soil is very wet, heavy clay. Uh, and there's maybe about this much topsoil, maybe 3 or 4
Yeah.
inches most. And then the rest of it is this stuff called less, which is, I mean, it's not totally without fertility, but it's just uh, rough growing conditions. I mean, and those two plants spread out there now. Oh, let's see, it's 15, no, probably 20 years since those went in. And the plant is, each one of them is like 25, 30 feet long
Wow.
and about 5 feet wide. And they're not pruned, so they get to be, maybe 10 feet high.
Mm.
Wow.
And they're not as pretty, I have to say. I mean, the birds love them because it gives lots of cover for nesting and things. But the little red twigs that are so beautiful are, all spread out all over this sort of gray mass of wood.
That
So,
sounds pretty big. I should probably move it from the
well,
right next to my back
well,
door.
but by pruning it, you can just keep it, to whatever size you like. I mean, you have control. It'll do what it wants to do, but you have control.
Okay, well, this is inspiring me to prune
Yeah, I
it and
love
maybe
red
move it.
twig. Yeah, I mean, I waged because I'm the community garden guy and I wanted to make the community gardens bigger. I waged a war on one of the red twigs and actually removed it. It was a big job, and
Wow.
we moved chunks of it further out in the field, and they survived. And then I hate to say it, but we burned a lot of it, just because.
Well, I won't tell you how much I paid for mine.
Well, well, never do that again because beside the one I'm talking about, that's all over the place in our common land.
Wow.
I even have some, actually, now that I think about it, I have some growing on the side of the road near me. Uh, so, and if you want, what else do I have? Red bud, which is really pretty tree.
Oh, I love redwood.
Yeah,
Redbud, I mean.
yeah.
Yeah, very pretty.
I've got our very mature red bud has been putting out lots of these, and little baby red buds are all over the place. What else is going on? Gee. Well, of course, the willow. Oh, and then I got some meadowsweet from Lincoln Land Conservation Trust, meadowsweet
Hmm.
and St. John's wort, and those have done well. I got 3 of each, and even the meadowsweet that I put in kind of a lousy place seems to really doing just fine.
How big is the Saint, how tall does the St. John's wort get?
Um, the one I've got that's the biggest
Yeah.
is, I want to say maybe 3 feet high and 3 feet wide.
Oh, okay.
Pretty
It,
big.
yeah, it's big. It's pretty. It's got wonderful yellow flowers.
Yeah,
It's on Giguère's list of good pollinator plants.
right.
Um, and the meadowsweet gets bigger. They're
I'm looking for something that blooms for a long time that's very low growing.
Hmm.
that's a good question.
Like
I'll see.
I have low bush blueberry, but the rabbits, I think it is, keep eating it.
Oh,
Hmm.
before it even has a chance to bloom? Yeah.
Well, sometimes it does bloom a little bit. And
Yeah.
I mean, they've been pretty, considering what the rabbits have done to them, they're kind of, keep hanging in, but um, I was trying to think, or even something to plant between the low bush blueberries, but they really get chowed from the critters.
Yeah. Yeah. Blood meal helps.
Maybe the mountain, I mean, the wood aster, because if it's a sort of a shady spot, is it sun or shade?
Both. I mean, it's mostly sun, and it can get,
Hmm.
it's right, it's only like a foot and a half, 2 feet, it's within 2 feet of the building, so it gets a lot of reflected heat in the summer and
Hmm.
sun. And
Hmm.
like once, probably 10, probably by 10 o'clock in the morning in the summer, the sun's up and it beats the whole rest of the day.
Intense, yeah.
Yeah, I had trouble with mountain laurel there. It was too hot and too
Yeah.
sunny for the mountain laurel.
Yeah.
And I have to pull a elderberry bush. Something's wrong. And it was the wrong kind. That was before I knew the right kinds.
Yeah.
It was pretty, but it's I think it has like something, a kind of a disease that gets in the soil and
Yeah.
certain plants. And actually the mountain laurel is one of them too that would be affected by it. So I don't know whether it was the sun or the ground stuff, but I lost mountain laurels.
Oh, mountain laurel's my favorite, hands down, of all the
Oh,
native plants.
Yeah.
I absolutely
Yeah,
adore them.
yeah, they're
There used to
stunning.
be a park, state park in, I want to say like Townsend out that way.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
the most absolutely gorgeous um, mountain laurel,
Oh,
huge ones. And
Nice.
I mean, and I went out, this was, probably must have been 30, 35 years ago that I found, I happened to, I had a hairdresser appointment. I got there real early. I said, I'll ride around here, and just stumbled on this place. And I went back to where I thought it was, and there's nothing like it in terms of mountain laurel. Even, so I don't know if it was removed or changed. I couldn't figure it out, you know, like most things that are, you you've been to one time and then you come back, 2 or 3 decades later, you can figure out where things were or what. This I couldn't. So maybe it was, there's a group of little state parks and areas in that general area. So maybe I was in the wrong place. I don't know. It was really weird. I couldn't find it though. I was very, very disappointed because I
Huh.
took lots of photos of it, and I don't know where that was back with my film camera.
I think I've been driven past Townsend State Park.
I know, now I
It's,
want to look. I'm going to be on the hunt.
it's not, it, well, there's Townsend, and then there's a park there that goes to another town, and then you go further out 119, and then there's one that goes like right along, I can't think
Yeah.
of the right name of it. It goes like along the road. You can
Yes.
see parts of it.
Yep.
As far as I know, I've never been to that one. It was the one that's,
Yeah.
I don't know the right name of it. It was
I was just looking on the web.
camping in a beach. I did, and I mean, I actually physically went there, went on the web, looked. I mean, I still
Yeah.
couldn't line up.
Well, and Mount Laurel's tough because it's not, if you're not catching it right when it blooms in the
Oh yeah,
summer, it sort of disappears at, the base in the forest.
well yeah, but the leaves. I mean, no, the leaves. I recognize the leaves enough. I mean,
Yeah.
and no, I know it comes and goes kind of quickly. Now,
Yeah.
like southern
Oh,
New
we've come
Hampshire, a
from,
little bit further up in New Hampshire, there in that general direction, just north is like there's the rhododendron state park and such, which
I've always wanted to go. I've never been.
I went years ago. It was pretty but very rustic. I mean,
Okay.
it wasn't like it was hardly a trail.
Yeah.
I think it's changed since then. I don't know how the rhododendrons are, but that area is a lot of rhodies and some mountain laurel too. But that place, I was going to the hairdresser in Townsend, and that's why I think it was Townsend, but I'm not positive. I'll have to spend some more time out there having some fun on the back roads, getting lost.
Yeah.
Trying to find.
At one time, Pam and I drove out 119 in that same area, heading for Vermont
Yeah.
to see our daughter. And we stopped for lunch at a little place that had the world's best vanilla uh, fraps and hamburgers.
Yeah, I used to drive up and down that area quite a bit, and there's be these like little country stores, mom and pop country stores, kind of a general country store,
Yep.
and like they'd always have some little lunch thing that their specialty, and it usually was wicked good. Like,
Yep.
wow, is this good? But there wasn't variety. It was like what, like soup and a sandwich or a burger type of thing, and
Yeah.
yeah, it would. Most of those even are gone though. The real ones that I remember from a long time ago are all gone.
Yeah. I think like you say, out in the countryside, they're more likely to find them because, they're not as interesting a location for a chain or something like that.
No, they're
Yeah.
they're usually like at kind of a crossroads, and it's like quite often there's nothing much else around there. Maybe a house or two that their family.
Yeah.
But you go like,
Oh,
but I
well,
love that part of um,
It's
our
beautiful up
state.
there. Yeah.
I mean, like this fall, I was telling Mark earlier, I took a ride in the Pioneer Valley.
Yes, that's
That,
my favorite part of the state.
oh my gosh, it was just so beautiful. I mean, that ride filled me for a while.
But sometimes when I have a bad day, I just hop in the car and I drive out to I like Greenfield and Turner's Falls and
Yeah,
Northampton and
yeah.
Hadley.
I love Turners Falls and Greenfield. Turners Falls, I love the look over where
Oh,
you see the river there and
I
everything.
would move there in a heartbeat if I could get a job out there. It's definitely it's getting a little cool and hip and trendy. There
Yeah, very.
There's a cool new coffee shop that just opened up, and I feel like everyone that goes there and works there
huh.
looks like they live in Brooklyn or something. Uh,
Definitely
Is,
changed.
is Turner's Falls on the Connecticut River?
yeah,
Yeah,
Is
the
that the one
very
that's
top.
right near Route 2?
yeah,
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I know
They've
that.
got the fish ladder. If you're ever
Yes.
there in the
There's a-
summer, go to the fish ladder. It's
Oh, in
yeah.
freaking
And
fact,
amazing.
if
apparently the
especially if you want
Alewife
to
comes
take
through there. So,
93 south, you cut through and it's like you get off the highway for a minute or two and it turn back the clock. Just and
Yeah.
there's like you can cut over to 93 very easily, especially going south. It's
Ah,
yeah,
maybe we'll do that. Pam and I one time did go look at the fish ladder.
It's
it's
it's the coolest, and the Great Falls Discovery Center, right when you go over the bridge,
Yep.
they've got the fun little sort of like dioramas, and they talk about the geology and the
oh,
history, and there's bathrooms.
good.
You need a bathroom.
Yep. Look at
Um,
this. Oh, cool.
Thanks for that, Leah. That's nice to know.
What?
comes
And
in
then
handy.
there's what, Northfield Mountain.
Yeah.
It
I've,
isn't that the one that they pump water up into for a reservoir?
Mhm.
yeah.
That's pretty
They,
smart.
well, it is and it isn't. When you read, it sounds on the surface, it sounds really good, but it actually causes some current apparently in the Connecticut River to reverse.
Well, and it
Oh,
used to be energy like negative when energy was cheap, but now that the price of electricity or energy has gone up, it
yeah.
now actually costs more money and like more, I think, emissions involved in like
Yeah, it's not
pumping
Yeah.
the
good.
water.
It's not a
That's,
good. They were fighting out there for the new. It was up this past year, within the past year or so, with a new release.
Hmm.
They were fighting it in the area. All the ecology people were fighting.
I could see that. That makes sense.
Well, it's not. It doesn't serve the purpose it did originally,
Exactly.
and it's
Yeah.
environmentally pretty nasty
Yeah. Yeah.
because of the river. Apparently, it causes backflow current in the river, and then the amount of energy it takes to run it and store everything is more than they produce. Like, or
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. The pumping is probably not that efficient. Yeah.
no, and especially when they said the river about the river, I was like, I was surprised they could even get away with it, and then even consider getting a new. As far as I know, they got a lease, but I'm not positive of that.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not sure they got it for as long as they wanted it.
yeah. Somebody's bright idea at some time.
Well, some things work at some points in time, but they don't continue
Yeah.
to work.
That's true.
And I think that's some of it. I still can't believe they ever got away with changing the current in the river when they pull the water.
Well, but I mean, look at dams. We people think dams are a good idea.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And in some ways, they still provide us with certain things. I mean, look at Hydro Quebec. I mean, that's all dams,
Right, right.
good, bad, and indifferent. I mean, some of
Yeah.
it is not so good. I'm glad though they keep taking down the small low head dams that um, have blocked fish and
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah. They're doing a lot of that, which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, piece by piece.
Well, we took down two little trees that were partly shading our solar panels this year. That was good. And the other benefit was we got more sunlight on some windows in the house. We have fairly large windows that face south, and I've had to burn less wood this winter and less oil, so
Wow.
it's all good that way.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess the greenhouse effect keep the heat, bring the sunlight in and heat it up.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. It's
that's
warm.
amazing. Yeah, like it's my front window in the sun, that's where the plants are.
I'm
And this,
jealous. I don't have any sunny windows to grow
Oh,
my
nuts.
plants in.
yeah, we
It's,
had a house in Harvard, Mass. That when we bought it, there were so many trees that we had it logged.
yeah, right.
It was like wasn't even quite an acre and a half.
Yeah,
And with the septic and the house, I mean, it took up a lot of space. Even with that, cleared, those pots cleared, there was still enough for a considerable amount. I forget how many feet or whatever we got, but it paid to take down the tree, the split trunk tree that overhung the whole house.
Oh,
And it
geez, yeah,
told us like if it fell, or
yeah,
even part of it, it would hit it in a way that the house would probably go to the ground.
yeah. Those those fork trunk trees are not stable. Yeah,
Yeah. So that to have that taken down, then that one had to be taken down piece by piece because it overhung the house.
yeah.
And then I'll pay for that and some stump grinding.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
fancy.
But we actually had it logged. I mean, you know, a log
That's that's
person.
that's happened here in our neighborhood. There was a family with an acre, two
Huh,
families right next to each other, each had a 1 acre lot, and they were just covered with trees. And one of them said, "Gee, I want to put on some solar panels." And the neighbor said, "Fine with me," because the one was south of them, right? So they cleared both lots, and they had some outfit from New Hampshire with
yeah,
with a machine that, I mean, literally, it was a large machine that could grab hold of the tree and then cut it off,
yeah.
lay it down, and go on to the next one.
Yeah, we had an individual logger log each tree one at a time.
Yeah,
And it was people in Brookline, New Hampshire that did it.
yeah,
Um, and I mean now they have better machinery too than they did even then. That was a while
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty tricky to do.
When we bought our house, it had been rented for a few years. Uh, and the people that were leaving at the time we bought the house, the commented that they were glad to leave because they didn't want to spend another winter in this place. And we used to live in a house in Stowe that had a barn attached to it. Do you know that place called Nan's in Stowe?
Yeah.
That that was our house.
Oh wow.
What? You lived at Nan's?
Well, yeah, it was the little tower thing wasn't there,
Yeah.
and it wasn't as fancy as it is now. Like for example, the barn, what we used to call the barn is now that sort of liquor store for lack of a
Yep.
better word, and they have a lot of other nice things in there. But we kept,
Lois, if you're not aware, they have the best fried chicken sandwich
oh,
in the state.
we go there and get it. I mean, I'm sort of vegan, but I get the salads there.
And
But
the salads are amazing, and they make a great coffee if you want to get a latte.
That's the place like going
ah,
from here, it's on the right, and it's kind of a big complex of
yeah,
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah, we bought it because it had a half acre. Yeah, a little over a half acre of open land, perfect for a garden, because
Ah,
we wanted to raise a lot of vegetables and stuff,
yeah.
and it worked great. That's where the parking lot is now.
I
Ah,
can't believe you lived there. So before
that's
Nan's was
amazing.
there?
Well, when we bought it, it was called the Stowaway Inn, right? It had that little triangular sign on the corner of the porch, and it was uh, well, my dad looked at it and he said, "Mark, you bought a lot of work." Because the porch was kind of falling apart a little bit, and there was some crumbling. Actually, if you go there, you'll notice that part of the porch is paved with bricks.
Yeah.
I put those down.
No way.
I broke up the cement that was there, and I was doing a consulting job with the Association of American Railroads in Colorado. And at lunchtime, I was consulting with them about using computers to keep track of the engineering data. And one lunchtime, I was talking to a bunch of guys that were experts on ballasting railroads, where they put the crushed rock for railroads.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I said, I want to bust up this porch. And I described it. And I said, I want to lay the cement, I want to lay the bricks in sand, dry laid bricks, but I don't want them to pitch over time. And I want it to be stable. And these guys just said, piece of cake. And they lined out exactly what I needed to do. I got some crushed rock and I leveled it, you know, and then I patted it with a rolling, I still have the roller that I used. And then they said, get some blasting fabric. So some outfit in Hudson had it. And I put that over the rock, and then I put the sand on top. This blasting fabric keeps the sand from getting into the rock.
Ah,
And I look at that thing today and I said, that looks fine. It's still there. And I
wow.
had such fun laying it because the pattern, the brick pattern that runs along the porch is one pattern, but the pattern that's that little sort of square area, for lack of a better word of it, next to the kitchen or where the kitchen used to be, is done herringbone. And I figured out a transition from herringbone to this running pattern. I looked at that as so cool, I says to myself. So, and I noticed that that was still there the other day when I was visiting there.
That's,
So
That
I'm gonna have to take a closer look next
yeah,
time we
it's a
go, which will
field trip.
probably be like next weekend.
Oh yeah. When we bought it, that thing was so bad. I mean, it had no storm windows, no storm doors, and it only had like 3 inches of loose wool, rock wool in the attic, right?
Oh,
And so I upgraded it to a foot of fiberglass in the attic. And then I had a friend of mine, I worked at deck at the time. I had a friend of mine at deck shoot no, what was it? Urea formaldehyde into the walls, which turned out to be, unfortunately, a bad idea. But it was a great insulator, and I didn't have any trouble with it. But when we went to sell the house, oh, you got to get rid of that stuff. I said, okay, so we figured that out. And then I sealed a lot of stuff, and we replaced the boiler, and we took it. It only took about a third as much fuel to heat it when we left it as it did when we bought it.
wow.
And
Wow.
apparently, and it was heated better.
Yeah.
The woman we bought it from, uh, she said, "Well, it'll be a little hard to heat when the wind blows." And it was so leaky. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. Well,
So why did you sell it, or when did you sell it?
we sold it in 1987 when we bought our house here. Uh,
Wow.
we sold it because it was on Great Road,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and our kids. We left it in 1983 and moved to the Marshall Islands for 4 years on
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
and Kwajalein Island is only 2.5 miles long and a half a mile wide, and there were no cars, and everybody rode bicycles to go anyplace.
Yeah.
And that's not something I'd want to do from that house because that Great
Wow.
too busy. Uh, and we kind of wanted to move from there anyway. And I could ride my bike from here to work, so I loved it.
Huh. My daughter-in-law spent a lot of time on quad with her. Her dad was a pilot.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if you um,
Oh,
overlapped. Clock is their last name.
it could be. I only knew one of the pilots. His name was Bill. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
of her father's first name.
yeah. It was, I liked it. I liked Kwajalein. It was a great experience.
Yeah. She it was interesting. She graduated from high school from in Germany, the big base there. And
Hmm.
so they get together periodically, like all these army, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever people who graduated different places, and periodically they get together somewhere in the world and have like a what do you call it, a grad, what do like a
Union?
reunion.
Yeah. Fun.
And so she she got the thing for her reunion in Germany. It was after she had married my son. So come to find out, she didn't know anyone there at all.
Yeah.
My son knew people there. It happened to be that one of the people that taught his after school program, um, he knew the wife, and the husband was the one who graduated. And it wasn't the same year as my daughter-in-law, but it was funny, like small world. but
Yeah.
but
Well,
they spent quite
it
a
was
long. I don't
interesting
know
for
what
us.
years
Yeah.
they were in quad. I don't know.
When we moved into this house, it turned out that our neighbors across the street, the husband had been in the Marshall Islands during the
Yeah,
Second World War.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
It's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
When they really talk about the middle of nowhere, that to me is the middle of nowhere.
So we should actually, we probably should wrap up pretty soon. We don't need to take minutes.
We
Yay.
don't need to do anything
Don't
because we
have to do
can't,
anything.
we don't
Um,
have a quorum.
but for plants, that's an interesting question. I'll ask around about plants that can handle the heat, Lois, and for red twig, I mean,
And it's short.
red twig and red bud, we can supply that like mad.
Yeah,
I know I should snip some and throw them in some buckets of water and just let them hang out.
Yeah, you can even well, if I make some of this willow water, you could borrow that. And you don't have to worry about when you do it. I think you could probably do it anytime between now and the middle of May.
Huh.
Um, but let me think. Yeah, I'll start some willow water right away. Is your area wet there or is it dry?
Really dry.
Okay, so
wow.
willows won't work. We'll see. But
But
red twig will be fine.
I thought twig liked water. I mean, they're always growing near wetlands. So hence I was especially surprised that mine is just going crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Well, maybe it's next to the house. Does it get drip off the roof?
And our house is built up sort of on a little hill, and the soil is just, furnace, garbage, trash, ash, and sand. So I'm
We
especially surprised that it's doing so well.
we had that in Stowe at Nan's. When we bought it, it had the boiler was really bad. It was a converted coal boiler it
Wow.
had been converted to oil. That's part of the reason it took 2,400 gallons. But the old ash, like you talk about, we had some of that same stuff and trash that had been burned. And my daughter actually cut herself on some of that stuff. When she was
Yeah, the
babysitting.
Sharp.
pieces of glass and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that ash, those chunks of ash are like, they're really sharp.
Yeah,
oh,
and
yeah,
chunks of coal in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, like
oh,
but
yeah,
they're like all like they look like coral kind of, but they're not coral.
Oh, the coal slag, that's really bad. Yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
have that too from the mill across the street. All it's
oh,
my yard. So
yeah,
I don't like to grow veggies because of it. It's a
yeah.
lot of heavy
yeah.
work. No.
So you have to grow in like a raised bed or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Well,
it's
Well, I'm
cool.
inspired. I'm gonna
Okay.
snip up
yeah,
the red
nice to
bud
see
or the
you.
red.
Nice to chat
I see
too,
you, yeah.
Leah.
And
Yeah.
I'll just send out I have some stuff I did pick up in the meantime since the last meeting, and I'll just send an email out to everybody. And
Okay.
we'll plan probably just best to just plan to get together in April, unless we've got something. Yeah, except nothing's going to be happening around the 250th. It's going to be a nightmare.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys both live on the other side of Route 2, the west, whatever, south side of Route 2.
I'm West Concord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I Cananum's directly south.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know where you are, but
Yeah.
Although I should send you guys a picture. I don't know if you know Billy Crosby and the sign shop across the street on Bradford Street, but
Huh.
they've been making a massive lantern.
oh,
It's like taller than I am. That's gonna get, I guess, wheeled around for the 250th with
Oh,
like
fun.
there's a candle in it that lights up.
that's
Huh.
the one
Huh.
that's going down to the museum and
Yeah,
oh wow.
Oh, that's wonderful.
it's really fun.
So we'll
Uh,
have to go see it. Of course,
yeah.
I'm in the middle of the neighborhood where everything's happening.
Okay.
But yeah, I live like across from the Hunt Gym.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But where the Peter Bulkley building is across, and I live behind the Peter Bulkley building. Which,
Yeah.
like when I look out my dining room window, right there is the back of the Scout House.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Nice.
cool. Wow.
Nice
So yeah,
location.
you're right in the midst of it.
Yeah, and usually the parade is on Stowe Street, and
Yeah.
they do the musket shot on the lawn there in front of Peter Bulkley, but they moved it down to Thorough Street.
Okay.
But yeah, we get cut off on Friday night, 6 o'clock. Um,
Yeah. They're blocking the whole rotary, right?
Well, I think you can use the rotary, but you can't take like if you're coming from Boston here, you can't take right turns.
Okay.
And in the other way, you can't take you can't come into town like 6:30 Friday night until let's say an 11 on Saturday night.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I guess like my niece, I invited my niece and I'm hoping I've got to get some kind of pass for her, like a guest pass.
Huh.
They were originally going to have all of us have um, some kind of IDs and stuff, but we'll just be use our licenses, I guess, and hope for the best. But I was thinking like to ID everybody in this whole area, that was a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that was the last. Now the best part that of this, it supposedly had 239 something porta potties.
Yeah.
And they were going to put them all 239 on Kai's Road. Do you get all of them one place?
Very convenient to the North Bridge, right?
Well, they, I, some of the, I think, women and older people in the group had a very big protest
Good, good.
that
Oh,
they are going to have porta potties some other places in town. And I said, like, sometimes people are so funny. They're so, they I think they're doing a really good job. It sounds like that. The best part is if the president decides to come, they won't know till like the last 2 weeks, 10 days. That's all they'll have for notice. And of course, will bring all his security and all kinds of stuff, but all the security they have goes like it shifts a bit. But they've really thought through a lot of things, like all the entrances, like where you would like come into where the parade is or anything like that, or any of the
yeah.
big things. They're having big trucks so that like in Louisiana, people got by. So and there will be a person in every one of those trucks. So the trucks can be moved, like if the ambulance has to go through, the truck can be moved. And I figured the other thing is that somebody's in the truck, they can see who or what's happening.
Yeah.
And I signed up to be what they call an ambassador. I was going to like book it out of town. I said, oh, whatever. So the first thing they had us do is sign up for this course called Until Help Arrives.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what the heck? Most, they learned a lot from the Boston, the bomber in Boston there. And so all the people who made it to the hospital survived in Boston, which is a major miracle.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason they did, because they had a lot of medical people there, a lot of military medical people at the finish line. Tourniquets were used,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of tourniquets. And that's one of the things we have to learn is to use direct pressure, of course, and secure bandage and tourniquets,
Mm-hmm.
which was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as the years ago as an EMT, a tourniquet, we learned to use them and stuff. It was kind of the means of last resort. But
Mm-hmm.
that is apparently it takes average of 6 to 9 minutes for emergency services to arrive. And an event like that, it might even, whatever. And in that time, you could bleed out. So that's why they're training us with that. And that's
Wow.
kind of like it. It's not like CPR and stuff too. I mean, if you know that or, whatever, fine. But that I thought that was one of the most interesting things. And of course,
Yeah.
we went to the FEMA site. We're supposed to be able to take an online course, go to the FEMA site. It had been pulled. So I did find an online course through the FEMA site, but it was out of New Jersey. And I did all of that. And then we get together in person to do some of the stuff over at Harvey Wheeler coming up. But
Nice.
yeah, kind of interesting. The whole,
Very
Wow.
useful.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, until help arrives, I was thinking, I said, like basically they should just pepper the town with every school, every institution, the churches, synagogue, temples, anything, they should all, everybody should really, sports, anyone who's like working like in the woods or saws or, any kind of carpentry stuff.
Yeah.
It's an easy training, and it empowers you. I mean, they go through, steps. And the other thing they went through very carefully on the training is when you make a 911 call, the tendency is a tremendous tendency. I see that where I live, is to hang up, make the call and hang up rather than staying on the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really, really important to stay on the line.
Yeah.
But that's happened here. I don't know how many times people make the call and hang up. Yeah.
Well,
They send the police. They send the police when they do that.
yeah.
They're really good here in town. But anyway, that's my adventures. I used to be an EMT, Leah. I don't know if you knew that. A long time ago in the land far, far away.
Well, thanks for volunteering. They're lucky to have you.
And thanks for sharing that.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
I just thought we were going to hand out some brochures or point things on a map. I had no clue about.
Yeah, no, you're gonna be saving lives and applying tourniquets.
Yeah, I got to get. I don't know if I couldn't get a straight answer if they're providing them or we have to provide our own packs.
Wow.
If you need any, my husband's got a couple.
Right.
Let me know.
Well, I figured it would be a good thing to have.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't take up much room. The little pack they have, like they come now a pack with all the little pieces and parts to it, and seems like around here people are always falling and doing junk. So, and the obviously is leave it on, and that was one of the big, like they said, Boston. That was one of the biggest things that made a difference. It's actually stopping bleeding, and there were a lot of tourniquets apparently applied.
Good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you learn. I mean, these crazy things happen, and you learn things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I thought that was interesting until help arrives. You are the help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much.
It's so funny.
We've had a great chat, if not the meeting.
Yeah, I mean,
it's probably more fun than the meeting. And
well, it was definitely, and it's nice to know that there's.
We'll do this from now on.
Red
Keep
dogwood.
really quiet.
And I'm in line for red dogwood.
Yeah, okay, I've got to get it growing.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, I said that would probably replace my elderberry on the corner.
Yeah.
Well, I had it situated so people can't cut through that corner.
Yeah. Well, red twig will do a good job of that, stopping.
Yes, from the sound of it, that sounds.
It makes a thicket.
Yeah,
I'm learning that.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Have a good night.